Newly chosen Liberal leader Mark Carney is closer than ever to getting sworn in as Canada's next Prime Minister, but a few things need to happen first before the transition happens. A local cartoonist has already created a kid's book about Mark Carney, though. The new Politikid book is titled Mark Carney, and joining us now is the cartoonist Kaj Hasselriis. Good morning, Kaj.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. How did you manage to get this book done in such a quick time turnaround?
That's a good question. All my friends were asking me as soon as I started sharing this online yesterday morning. They're like, did you draw all through the night? No, I'm a bit of a political animal. I follow politics quite closely, and let's just say I had a hunch he was going to win. Like, he was the front runner the whole time, so I took a chance. So yes, I've been busy drawing and coloring for the last 6 weeks a comic book about Mark Carney in anticipation that he would probably win, and thankfully he, for me,
yes, exactly.
and my comic, he did.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about the story inside the book itself, or inside the cartoon.
So this is a comic book that is called Mark Carney, From Paperboy to PM, and it tells the true childhood story of Mark Carney. It's part of my Politikids series.
Okay.
I first did a Politikids book a couple of federal elections ago. I also did one about Kamala Harris, because she grew up, as we all know, partly in Montreal. And so I like to research the childhoods of politicians and tell those childhood stories. So in Mark Carney's case, he's an economist. He grew up to become governor of the Bank of Canada, but when he was a kid, he had a paper route in Edmonton. And of course, when you had a paper route, it meant you also had to collect money from your customers. So that's when he started asking questions to himself. Why are some people paying right away? Some people can't pay me certain times. Some people are canceling their subscriptions because they can't afford a subscription anymore. Yeah. And that's when actually there was a recession in the 70s. So that's when he started learning, oh, there's something called the economy and finances, and we all have a different amount of money, and and that makes the world go around, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, I'm really interested in the kinds of political origin stories of politicians. And many of them have those origin stories.
Yeah, and why do you feel the need to share these stories with kids?
I think kids are super engaged. I do a lot of classroom visits, especially to grades 3, 4, 5 type of classes. And that age, like, kids are hyper aware of what's going on. They know what's going on in the news. Like, I did a class visit shortly before the American election last fall. All the kids had feelings about Donald Trump, even back then. I'm sure it's even more so now. I also remember when I was a kid, I remember being 9 years old, and I remember a politician coming to my door to ask my parents for their vote, and it was an election time, and I remember being super curious about, like, what are all the signs on lawns? Why are some signs blue? Why are some red? Why are some orange? So, I'm still interested and engaged in politics. I know there are kids out there like me, even today, and so these Politikids books, like my new one about Mark Carney, is saying, here, this is what's going on right now, especially in Mark Carney's case. Most grown-ups don't know who this guy is. It's almost like he came out of nowhere. Like, yeah, he's been doing things, but he's never been an elected politician before. So, to have a comic book that gives a little bit of information about him, that's, in a story form and illustrated, that, he was born in Fort Smith, Northwest Territories, and moved with his family to Edmonton, grew up there, was an Oilers fan, et cetera, and paper route.
Truly Canadian origins, which can be celebrated, of course. When will the hard copy of the book be available? So it will be a hard copy. It's at the printers right now at City Press on William, and anyone who wants to take a sneak peek at the book can look at the website politikids.ca, and that's where you can also order a book for $10. And anyone who orders a book, as soon as it's printed this week, I'll put it in the mail and mail it to you, and kids can read it in person, in real life, just like books should be read. And I just learned something about Mark Carney, which is amazing. Thank you so much for this, Kaj. I appreciate your time today. Okay, thank you. Thank you.